Have you ever felt like someone is draining your energy? Malicious people exhibit specific behaviors that, if not recognized in time, can cause significant harm in your life. In this video, we will show you the 12 typical behaviors of malicious people. Knowing these signs is crucial for protecting yourself and maintaining healthy relationships. If you are new here, please like the video and subscribe. Now, let's start this transformative journey together. 1. Constant manipulation. Have you ever felt like someone is leading you where they want without you realizing it? Welcome to the fascinating and dangerous world of manipulation. The first warning sign of malicious people is manipulation. Imagine playing chess, but your opponent changes the rules at their whim without you noticing. That's how subtle manipulation can be. According to Dr. Harry Breaker, author of Who's Pulling Your Strings, manipulation is the exercise of hidden or indirect influence over another person to behave in a way that favors the manipulator's interests. But how do you recognize a manipulator in action? Pay attention to these common tactics. Emotion guilt. If you really loved me, you would do this for me. Gaslighting, making you doubt your perception of reality. Victimhood, always being the victim in every situation. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Manipulators are experts at distorting our opinions for their benefit. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that people with manipulative tendencies often score high in narcissism and Machiavellianism. But not all is lost. Here are some strategies to deal with manipulation. 1. Set clear boundaries. A simple no can be your best shield. 2. Trust your intuition. If something doesn't add up, it's probably for a good reason. 3. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends for perspective. Psychologist George Simons suggests that the best defense against manipulation is knowledge, so congratulations, you're already taking the first step. Remember, not all people who occasionally manipulate are bad. Sometimes we all can fall into these tactics without realizing it. The key is to recognize them and work on ourselves to improve. As Marcus Aurelius would say, soon you will have forgotten everything. Soon everything will have forgotten you. So don't obsess over manipulators, but keep your eyes wide open. 2. The art of never apologizing. Get ready for the second warning sign, the art of never apologizing. Do you know someone who is always right, even when they are wrong? This fascinating phenomenon is more common than you think, and according to experts, can be an indicator of deeper problems. Imagine for a moment that life is a big game of Monopoly. We all make mistakes, occasionally landing on go to jail. But some players seem to believe they have a permanent get-out-of-jail-free card. These are the masters of the art of never apologizing. Psychologist Robert Enright, a pioneer in the study of forgiveness, notes that the inability to apologize is often related to a fragile ego and a deep fear of vulnerability. It's as if these people wear emotional armor that prevents them from acknowledging their mistakes. But what does Stoic philosophy say about this? Marcus Aurelius in his Meditations reminds us, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, if someone doesn't apologize to you, the best response is not to fall into the same pattern. How do you identify these apology-averse individuals? Here are some clues. 1. They always have a ready excuse. 2. They divert blame to others or circumstances. 3. They minimize the impact of their actions. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that people with narcissistic traits are significantly less likely to offer sincere apologies. But not all is lost. If you find yourself dealing with someone like this, or worse, if you recognize yourself in this description, here are some tips. 1. Practice empathy. Try to understand why they find it so hard to apologize. 2. Set clear boundaries. Don't let the lack of apologies become the norm. Remember, acknowledging our mistakes doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. So the next time you feel the words, "I'm sorry," stuck in your throat, think about this. Do you prefer to be right or happy? Sometimes a simple apology can be the bridge to healthier and more satisfying relationships. 3. Lack of empathy. Now let's move on to the next sign. Have you ever encountered someone who seems to have a heart of stone? Well, we're facing the third sign of our bad people detector: lack of empathy. This characteristic is like an invisible wall that separates some individuals from the rest of humanity. Imagine for a moment that you're in a world where no one can feel what you feel. Terrifying, right? Well, that's how people who lack empathy live. Psychologist Daniel Goleman describes empathy as the ability to tune in emotionally with others. Without it, human relationships become cold and superficial. But how do you identify someone who lacks empathy? Here are some clues. 1. They react with indifference to the suffering of others. 2. They have difficulty understanding others' perspectives. 3. They often make insensitive comments without realizing it. A study conducted by the University of Michigan revealed that empathy levels among college students have decreased by 40% over the past 30 years. It seems we're facing an epidemic of stone hearts, but not all is lost. The good news is that empathy can be cultivated. According to several studies, practicing active listening and putting yourself in others' shoes can significantly increase our empathetic capacity. What to do if you encounter someone who seems to have the heart of an iceberg? Here are some tips. 1. Don't take it personally. Remember that this person's lack of empathy reflects more about them than about you. 2. Don't expect them to change overnight. Empathy is like a muscle. It needs time and practice to develop. 3. Lead by example. Sometimes showing empathy can inspire others to do the same. Remember, we all have days when it's hard to put ourselves in others' shoes. The key is to recognize it and work on it. As the Dalai Lama said, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. And speaking of practice, how about we do a little exercise? The next time you encounter someone who gets on your nerves, try to imagine what might be going on in their life for them to act that way. You might be surprised by what you discover. 4. Constant creation of conflicts. Let's move on to the fourth warning sign in our bad people detector: constant creation of conflicts. Have you ever felt like you're in the middle of a constant storm where conflicts arise out of nowhere? These malicious people are like drama directors, provoking disagreements as if they were fireworks on a quiet night. Sometimes their motivation is pure fun. Other times, it's a tactic to divert attention from their own flaws. It's as if they have a radar to detect peace and feel the urgent need to destroy it. Psychologist John Gottman, known for his research on relationships, identifies this behavior as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in interpersonal relationships. He calls it contempt, and it's a form of conflict that goes beyond simple arguing. But how does this affect those around them? Imagine living in a house where the walls constantly tremble. That's the toxic environment created by these individuals. Peace and harmony become distant concepts, replaced by an atmosphere charged with tension. Writer Ryan Holiday, in his book The Obstacle is the Way, reminds us calm is contagious. Unfortunately, chaos is too, and these people are like a virus of conflict infecting every interaction and relationship around them. So how do we deal with people like this? Here are some strategies. 1. Don't feed the drama. Remember, it takes 2 to tango in conflict. 2. Practice stoic indifference. Marcus Aurelius would say, choose not to be harmed, and you won't be. 3. Seek allies. Surround yourself with people who value peace as much as you do. Recognizing these conflict artists is the first step to protecting yourself. As Carl Jung said, what you resist persists, what you accept transforms. Accept that these people exist, but don't let their internal chaos become your external reality. 5. Constant lying. Imagine for a moment that you're building a house. Each brick represents a truth, a shared experience, a moment of trust. Now, what would happen if someone started replacing those bricks with balloons painted to look like bricks? Exactly, sooner or later, everything would come crashing down. Lies are like those balloons disguised as bricks. They may seem harmless at first, even useful on occasion, but in the long run, they undermine the foundations of any relationship. Stoic philosopher Seneca said that honesty is an essential virtue that upholds the foundations of solid and healthy relationships. Can you imagine Seneca at a family gathering where everyone lies about who ate the last piece of cake? He would probably leave the room in philosophical protest. But seriously, constant lying is not just a bad habit. It's a warning sign. Lies can take many forms, from small white lies to elaborate stories worthy of a spy movie. The problem is that over time, they become a sort of personal language for the liar, leaving you trying to decipher a constantly changing code. So why would someone choose to live in this labyrinth of lies? Sometimes it's to manipulate, other times to hide harmful behaviors, and occasionally simply because they've forgotten how to be honest. It's as if they've lost the instruction manual for the truth and are improvising on the fly. But how can you detect a compulsive liar? Here are some clues. 1. Inconsistencies in their stories. If you notice that the details of their tales change frequently, you might be dealing with a professional liar. 2. Evasiveness. They avoid answering direct questions or give vague responses. 3. Lack of guilt or remorse. They don't seem to be affected when caught in a lie. So how do you deal with this? The first thing is not to become paranoid. Not everyone who lies once or twice is a compulsive liar. However, if you notice a pattern, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Confront the lie calmly. Don't lose your cool, as this could make the situation worse. 2. Set clear boundaries. Make it clear that honesty is a non-negotiable value for you. 3. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends or family for perspective and advice. Remember, lies can only thrive in the shadows. Bringing them to light is the first step to dispelling them. 6. The search for your weaknesses. Have you ever felt that someone is too interested in your flaws, those little imperfections that make you human? If so, you might have encountered the 6th sign, the search for your weaknesses. This behavior is like a virus seeking to exploit any vulnerability. Some people seem to have a special talent for finding our sore spots. It's as if they had a magnifying glass and focused on every little detail that makes us feel insecure. But what motivates them to do this? Often, it's an attempt to gain control or feel superior. By focusing on your weaknesses, they avoid facing their own. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us that we shouldn't be surprised by the bad actions of others. According to him, malicious people simply act according to their nature. In this case, it's crucial not to fall into their game. So how do we identify these fault finders? Here are some clues. 1. They constantly criticize, even in situations where constructive criticism isn't warranted. 2. They make fun of your insecurities. They turn your vulnerabilities into jokes. 3. They seek to undermine your confidence, subtle comments that chip away at your self-esteem. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that individuals who constantly point out others' flaws often have low self-esteem themselves. It's as if by diminishing others, they try to elevate themselves. But not all is lost. If you find yourself in the crosshairs of one of these weakness seekers, here are some strategies. 1. Don't take it personally. Their comments reflect more about them than about you. 2. Focus on your strengths. Don't let them make you forget what you're good at. 3. Limit contact. If possible, reduce interactions with these people. Remember, everyone has weaknesses. The key is not to let others use them against you. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In other words, don't let their behavior turn you into someone you are not. 7. Isolate you from your support system. Isolation is one of the oldest and most effective tactics of control. Malicious people know this and often seek to separate you from your support system. Imagine for a moment that you're a tree, your roots deeply embedded in the ground, drawing strength and stability from the earth. Now imagine someone slowly severing those roots, one by one. That's what isolation feels like. But why would someone want to isolate you? The answer is simple: control. By isolating you from friends, family, and colleagues, they weaken your support network and make you more dependent on them. Psychologist Dr. Craig Malkin, in his book Rethinking Narcissism, explains that isolation is a common tactic among narcissists and manipulators. They thrive on creating a sense of dependency and control. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They discourage you from seeing friends or family. 2. They create conflicts between you and your support system. 3. They make you feel guilty for spending time with others. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships revealed that social isolation can lead to increased feelings of loneliness, depression, and anxiety. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Strengthen your connections. Reconnect with friends and family. 2. Set clear boundaries. Make it clear that your relationships are important to you. 3. Seek professional help. A therapist can provide valuable insights and strategies. Remember, you're stronger when you're connected to others. Don't let anyone sever your roots. 8. Constantly play the victim. The role of the victim is a classic strategy of malicious people. They use it to manipulate and control those around them. Imagine for a moment that you're in a play, and the main character is always the victim, regardless of the circumstances. This behavior can be exhausting and frustrating. But why would someone constantly play the victim? Often, it's a way to avoid responsibility and gain sympathy. By positioning themselves as the perpetual victim, they manipulate others into providing support and assistance. Psychologist Dr. George Simon, in his book In Sheep's Clothing, explains that playing the victim is a common tactic among manipulators. It allows them to evade accountability and gain control over others. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They always have a sob story. 2. They never take responsibility for their actions. 3. They use their victim status to manipulate others. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that people who constantly play the victim often have underlying issues of low self-esteem and insecurity. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Don't play along. Don't let them manipulate you with their victim stories. 2. Encourage responsibility. Encourage them to take responsibility for their actions. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that you won't be manipulated. Remember, you have the power to protect yourself from manipulators. Don't let them play the victim to control you. 9. Lack of respect for your boundaries. Boundaries are essential for maintaining healthy relationships. Malicious people often ignore or violate these boundaries. Imagine for a moment that you're building a fence around your garden, and someone keeps knocking it down. This behavior is a clear sign of disrespect. But why would someone ignore your boundaries? Often it's a way to assert control and dominance. By violating your boundaries, they show that they don't respect your needs or limits. Psychologist Dr. Henry Cloud, in his book Boundaries, explains that boundaries are essential for protecting our emotional and mental well-being. Without them, we become vulnerable to manipulation and control. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They ignore your requests and needs. 2. They invade your personal space. 3. They pressure you to do things you're not comfortable with. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that individuals who violate boundaries often have controlling and manipulative tendencies. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Be firm. Clearly communicate your boundaries and enforce them. 2. Don't back down. Don't let them pressure you into compromising your boundaries. 3. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends or family for support and advice. Remember, your boundaries are important. Don't let anyone violate them. 10. The art of silent treatment. The silent treatment is a passive-aggressive tactic often used by malicious people. It's a way to punish and control others without overt confrontation. Imagine for a moment that you're in a conversation and suddenly the other person stops responding. This behavior can be confusing and hurtful, but why would someone use the silent treatment? Often, it's a way to assert control and manipulate others into feeling guilty or anxious. Psychologist Dr. Kipling Williams, in his book Ostracism, The Power of Silence, explains that the silent treatment is a form of social exclusion and punishment. It can be deeply damaging to relationships. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They suddenly stop talking to you without explanation. 2. They use silence to punish you or get their way. 3. They make you feel anxious or guilty with their silence. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that the silent treatment can lead to increased feelings of anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Don't play along. Don't let their silence manipulate you. 2. Communicate. Try to address the issue directly and calmly. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that the silent treatment is not acceptable. Remember, you deserve respect and open communication. Don't let anyone use silence to control you. 11. Excessive jealousy. Jealousy is a natural emotion, but when it becomes excessive, it can be a sign of deeper issues. Malicious people often use jealousy as a way to control and manipulate those around them. Imagine for a moment that you're in a relationship and the other person constantly questions your actions and motives. This behavior can be suffocating and exhausting, but why would someone be excessively jealous? Often, it's a way to assert control and dominance. By making you feel guilty or anxious, they manipulate you into giving them constant reassurance and attention. Psychologist Dr. Susan Heitler, in her book The Power of Two, explains that excessive jealousy is often a sign of insecurity and low self-esteem. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They constantly question your actions and motives. 2. They make you feel guilty for spending time with others. 3. They demand constant reassurance and attention. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that excessive jealousy is often linked to controlling and manipulative behavior. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Reassure. Provide reassurance, but don't let their jealousy control you. 2. Communicate. Discuss their feelings and concerns openly and calmly. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that excessive jealousy is not acceptable. Remember, you deserve trust and respect. Don't let anyone's jealousy control you. 12. Love bombing and devaluation. Love bombing and devaluation are two sides of the same manipulative coin. Malicious people often use these tactics to control and manipulate those around them. Imagine for a moment that you're on a roller coaster with extreme highs and lows. This is what love bombing and devaluation feel like. But why would someone use these tactics? Often, it's a way to assert control and dominance. By showering you with love and attention, they create a sense of dependency. Then, by devaluing you, they keep you off balance and seeking their approval. Psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula, in her book Should I Stay or Should I Go, explains that love bombing and devaluation are common tactics among narcissists and manipulators. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They shower you with excessive love and attention. 2. They suddenly withdraw and criticize you. 3. They make you feel dependent on their approval. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that love bombing and devaluation can lead to increased feelings of anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Don't become dependent. Maintain your independence and self-worth. 2. Communicate. Discuss their behavior openly and calmly. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that love bombing and devaluation are not acceptable. Remember, you deserve consistent love and respect. Don't let anyone's manipulative tactics control you. 13. Excessive flattery and compliments. Flattery can be a sign of appreciation, but when it becomes excessive, it can be a manipulative tactic. Malicious people often use excessive flattery and compliments to control and manipulate those around them. Imagine for a moment that you're being constantly praised and complimented to the point where it feels insincere. This behavior can be overwhelming and confusing, but why would someone use excessive flattery? Often, it's a way to assert control and gain your trust. By making you feel special and valued, they create a sense of dependency. Psychologist Dr. George Simon, in his book In Sheep's Clothing, explains that excessive flattery is a common tactic among manipulators. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They shower you with constant praise and compliments. 2. Their flattery feels insincere or over the top. 3. They use flattery to manipulate you into doing things. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that excessive flattery is often linked to controlling and manipulative behavior. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Be cautious. Don't let their flattery manipulate you. 2. Maintain your self-worth. Remember that your value doesn't come from their compliments. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that excessive flattery is not acceptable. Remember, you deserve genuine appreciation and respect. Don't let anyone's manipulative flattery control you. 14. Refusal to apologize. Apologizing is an essential part of maintaining healthy relationships. Malicious people often refuse to apologize or take responsibility for their actions. Imagine for a moment that you're in a conflict and the other person refuses to acknowledge their wrongdoing. This behavior can be frustrating and hurtful. But why would someone refuse to apologize? Often, it's a way to assert control and avoid accountability. By refusing to apologize, they maintain a sense of superiority and dominance. Psychologist Dr. Harriet Lerner, in her book The Dance of Connection, explains that the refusal to apologize is often a sign of insecurity and low self-esteem. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They never admit when they're wrong. 2. They shift the blame onto others. 3. They avoid taking responsibility for their actions. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that individuals who refuse to apologize often have controlling and manipulative tendencies. But not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Don't back down. Stand your ground and hold them accountable. 2. Communicate. Discuss their behavior openly and calmly. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that refusing to apologize is not acceptable. Remember, you deserve accountability and respect. Don't let anyone's refusal to apologize control you. 15. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulative tactic where the manipulator tries to make you doubt your own perceptions and reality. Malicious people often use gaslighting to control and manipulate those around them. Imagine for a moment that you're constantly questioning your own memory and perception. This behavior can be disorienting and damaging. But why would someone use gaslighting? Often, it's a way to assert control and dominance. By making you doubt your reality, they gain control over your thoughts and actions. Psychologist Dr. Robin Stern, in her book The Gaslight Effect, explains that gaslighting is a common tactic among manipulators. But how do you recognize this behavior? Here are some clues. 1. They constantly make you doubt your memory and perception. 2. They deny things they've said or done. 3. They use your doubts to manipulate and control you. A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology revealed that gaslighting can lead to increased feelings of anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, but not all is lost. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take action. Here are some tips. 1. Trust your instincts. Don't let their manipulation make you doubt yourself. 2. Seek support. Talk to trusted friends or family for perspective and advice. 3. Set boundaries. Make it clear that gaslighting is not acceptable. Remember, you deserve to trust your own reality. Don't let anyone's manipulative tactics control you. Conclusion: recognizing the signs of malicious behavior is the first step to protecting yourself. By understanding these tactics, you can take action and set boundaries to ensure your well-being. Remember, you deserve respect, honesty, and genuine relationships. Don't let anyone's manipulative behavior control you. Stay strong, stay aware, and stay true to yourself.